How's it going, everyone? This is Austin with Windy Ridge Trapper and Windy Ridge Outdoors. I'm actually very, very excited to be bringing you guys this video. So we're going to be talking about the fur market in the 1970s. Obviously, I was not around or even thought about at that time, but every time that we get the old timers that come in, they always talk about the fur boom of the 70s and how much money that they used to be able to make. And after the research that I've done and crunching all the numbers, that actually is absolutely insane. Like, honestly, if we were bringing these numbers today, I think we could all quit our jobs and be rich. And I'm also factoring in inflation in this video. So not only, everyone's heard about, Red Fox going for $50, $60, $65 in the 70s. Well, you're actually going to know how much money that would be worth now. So the inflation rate that we're going to be using, I've looked on 5 or 6 different websites, and they're showing that the dollar back in the 1970s was anywhere between $8.20 and $8.40 in today's value. So what I mean by that is $1 in the 1970s is worth the equivalent of $8.40 in today's money. So that's just going to make the numbers that you see today that much more wild. So I pulled numbers from a couple of different places. I tried to avoid posts where there wasn't much proof or it just seemed like people were just talking. Another thing that I really want to add, so I found this Clip It too. This is the 1970s cost of living. So for a new house, it would cost $23,450. The average income was $9,400 a year. A new car was $3,450. The minimum wage was $2.10 an hour. A movie ticket was $1.53. Gasoline was 36 cents a gallon. Postage stamps were 6 cents a piece. And then, you've got some food down there. So think about that. With the minimum wage being $2.10, if you caught one coon, that was the equivalent of working a 10-hour shift. That is absolutely wild. That just shows you how much money that these things were worth in the 70s. Like, it's absolutely crazy. It blows my mind. That's probably why everyone trapped back then. You catch a muskrat and you basically just work 3 hours. You can skin and flesh and stretch a muskrat in like 10 minutes. And if you're really good, you can do it in 5 or 6. Like, if you're really efficient, it's not hard at all. You look at these numbers and then with the minimum wage then, it was absolutely crazy. But I just wanted to throw this in there. But I do have one actual Clip It from an actual fur buyer we're going to look at. And I have a post made by a feller named Hearn, and we'll be looking at that secondary. They have a lot more details on his post. So I'm going to pull it up on screen. You'll be able to see it. But the first one that we're going to be looking at is a fur company or a fur buying company named, and I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, but I believe it's Oshman and Sons Co. They're up in Minnesota. These numbers are going to be a little bit higher, but I believe that it's probably because it's Minnesota fur, and their fur is generally a little bit better than ours. But as you can see on screen, the mink was going for $50 a piece. Red Fox was going for $65 a piece. Muskrat was going for $7 a piece, and raccoon were going for $55 a piece. And by the way, just based off of everything that I found, if I had to guess, these probably were not average prices. They were probably advertising top-end prices. I don't think that you were going to take them an average hide and expect to get that kind of return out of that hide. But just so you're ready for this, I'm going to put these numbers up on screen so that you can see it. So with inflation, that mink in today's money would be worth $420. That Red Fox would be worth $546. That muskrat would be worth $58.80. And that raccoon would be worth $462. Can you imagine almost getting $500 for a raccoon? Like, honestly, I would drag up. I would go out. Me and Dad would go out, and we'd make enough money in a year to where we probably wouldn't have to work again for a very long time. But it's absolutely insane. This other thing that I'm going to pull up, like I said, I don't know this person. I just want to make sure that his name's up there because he is the one that wrote it, and I want to make sure that we give him the credit. But his username is Hearn. And on here, he's given some information. This is in PEA. This is PEA fur. You can see how many how many fur items that these dealers bought. You can see there where he talks about how dealers purchased 291,496 coons. And you can go down. I'm not as interested in the amount of hides purchased. But if you're interested, I'm going to leave it up there where you can see that. But to the right of that, you can see what the average was per pelt. And just like before, I'm going to go down through and I'm going to read those off, and then I'm going to factor in inflation to each one of those. And these numbers, I think, are a lot more accurate on the average than the previous one. Like I said, I believe that the Oshman's and Sons Co. that we looked at first, I believe that was Minnesota fur, and not only that, I believe it was the top end Minnesota fur. I don't believe it was the average, but these are the averages in PA, so I believe these prices were probably a lot more accurate. But for raccoons, the average was $20.98. For muskrats, the average was $6.23. For red fox, the average was $46.46. For gray fox, the average was $40.19. For possums, the average was $4.06. For beavers, the average was $36.30. For mink, the average was $19.63. And for skunks, the average was $2.50. And finally, weasels, the average was $2.34. So now, with inflation added in, and like I said, I'm gonna post these numbers up on the screen so you can see with the inflation. So with inflation, coons, the average in today's money would have been $176.23. For muskrats, the average would have been $52.33. For red fox, the average would have been $390.26. For gray fox, the average would have been $337.60. For possums, the average would have been $34.10. Beavers would have been $304.92. Mink would have been $164.89. Skunks would have been $21, and weasels would have been $19.66. Can you imagine getting 34 cents or $34 for a possum? I mean, I can imagine getting 34 cents for a possum. I mean, that's what you're going to get for most of them nowadays. But imagine getting $34 for a possum. I just want you to think about that for a second. I don't think that I have ever sold a possum for more than $1.50 in my life. Like, I cannot think of a time where I made more than $1.50 off of a possum. Maybe whenever Dad ran the company, he got more than that, but I don't remember that time. But it is absolutely insane what these hides would be bringing if we had those prices with today's money. I mean, it's just as I really cannot even wrap my mind around it. I think it's absolutely insane. And really, the only thing on this list that is even remotely close to what we're getting today is skunks. And it's not even close. It's just remotely close. You can average $13 a piece on skunks, and that's if you've got some good wide striped skunks, and that's still $8 less than what the average would have been. But that's just the closest. Nothing else even comes close to what we would be getting if we had those prices today. And just for fun, I'm just going to tell you, just going back off that to really hurt your feelings, I will let you know what the averages are today. So coons are $2.50, rats are $3, red fox are $8, gray fox are $10, possums are $1 to $1.25, beavers are $20, mink are $8, skunk are $13, and weasels are $6. I just want you to think about that for a second. So not only is the fur market bad, that gives you an idea of truly just how bad that it is. I mean, I cannot even fathom in my mind getting $176 for a coon. I want you to think about that. The amount of guys that I know who have good jobs who would quit their jobs if someone came up to them and was like, buddy, I'll give you $170 for a coon. I promise you I'd never have to work again. Like, we could go trapping for 2 days and we would have enough money to make it the rest of the year. I'm just telling you. So it's so wild to think about. And like I said, I'll have all these numbers up on screen so that you can like glance back at them if you miss something that I said. But I just can't. I cannot imagine making that kind of money. But if you like this video, I've actually, in the research of finding the prices for the 70s, I've actually have found prices for, you know, the 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s. And I would like to eventually do a video on the fur boom in the late 2000s. Whenever I was a kid, that was the last fur boom that we had, and I think it'd be fun to revisit that. But if you did like this video and there's like a certain time period that you would like to see, make sure you leave that in the comments. That would it'll help me get it up faster, especially if I know if people want to see that. But I hope that you enjoyed the video. Like I said, I had a really good time running these numbers. It's just as absolutely insane to me to see what some of this stuff brought. I mean, it doesn't seem real, you know what I mean? I mean, if you're a trapper and I mean actually trap, like you trap, you sell your fur, you've been doing it for a while, you know what the fur prices are. Like, this doesn't seem real. Like, it seems so made up. And I mean, like I said, all of this stuff is on Google. Like, you can go find this stuff. I didn't make any of this up. I know it sounds like I did, but like I said, the inflation rate for the 70s, and I checked it on 4 different websites. Like I said, it was between $8 and $8.60. So I averaged it down to $8.30, $8.40. But it is crazy. It is absolutely insane. But like I said, if you like the video, leave a comment. Let us know if you want us to do some more videos like this. I had a really good time doing it. You could leave us a like. That would be great. It'll help the video get to more people. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I would appreciate it. That would be pretty amazing. But besides that, thanks for watching the video. We appreciate it. God bless. Have a great day. Bye.